Hello, Hagan.
Storyteller, I was just thinking about you.
Only good things, I hope.
Oh yes, but then I added, wonder why I haven't killed him yet. And then I remembered Prey 3 and I got very sad.
Be nice.
I am. I haven't yelled once.
So it occurs to me that the last few Christian movies we've looked at were horror-related, and there's just so much more Christian cinema out there waiting to be discovered.
Oh, I discovered it. I discovered it so hard, and now it's a restraining order.
Those were end times movies, technically Christian movies in the same way that Adam Sandler movies are technically movies.
Touché.
So, I have a low-budget drama based on a classic Christian novel. It's not a flashy production, but a whole community came together to make it happen, and it has a lot of heart. The Christian message is there, but not in a way that would alienate secular audiences. And it even passes the Bechdel test, which I was told by a couple of feminists on a podcast is kind of a big deal. It was directed by a young, up-and-coming filmmaker based in Colorado, and was really a labor of love.
So, what do you think?
The director looks familiar. Is that Richard Ducher?
Richard Ducher is a Mormon.
Not anymore.
Well, your films don't suddenly change if you convert, so no, that's still not Richard Ducher.
Fair point. So, we review this together?
Oh no, that's what makes this crossover so interesting. You review it, and I watch.
What an odd fetish. No shame. And after this, we can watch Prey 3.
Scout's honor.
Fine. What's this film called? I mean, I could look down at the title. Ooh! But I decided not to and be mysterious.
In His Steps.
So don't praise me if I do something wonderful. Don't praise me, don't even make a fuss.
Oh, okay, now I've heard of that. In His Steps was based on Charles Sheldon's novel of the same name, a tale of faith and renewal in a small town. It was published in 1896, and is one of the biggest-selling books of all time. But its biggest claim to fame,
Other than the film,
Thank you.
its probable terribleness.
I hate you.
its biggest claim to fame is probably 4 little words. What would Jesus do? It didn't invent them, the phrase had been around for ages before that, but it did popularize them, and spread it far and wide. To the joy of uncreative, wall art-loving white people everywhere, while they waited for Keep Calm and Carry On to become famous. This is an adaptation of In His Steps.
There are many like it, but this one is his.
Curses, she did recognize me.
And because the name, The Storyteller, is unusually literal in this case, I think he should explain how all this happened.
Hey, that wasn't part of the deal.
Sorry, too busy being far away to hear you. Bye! Do you want anything from the shop?
Oh, mistress, can I get some Doritos?
No, you're not allowed to eat anymore until you've digested your first stomach.
Oh.
And grab me a Coke, please.
So, like many young evangelicals who grew up in the 90s, I had my fair share of WWJD bracelets. So when I eventually read the book early in my filmmaking career, I was really moved by the story, and I decided that it would be perfect for my first feature film. To be that young and naive once again. After a few years of writing, failing to get funding, learning more about filmmaking, I decided to, instead of making it as a movie, tell the story in this up-and-coming format called the web series. So, in 2012, with an all-volunteer cast and crew, we produced and released Season 1 of In His Steps, the series. We released it on YouTube and the dearly departed blip.tv.
Fun fact, the week after the last episode aired, I posted my review of Unidentified on Blip, from my other show, and that was the video that Diamanda found, which led to me being here today.
Anyway, after releasing the season and starting to develop Season 2, I realized that the Christian movie market wasn't quite ready to embrace such a revolutionary format. In other words, it got next to no views. And so I decided to instead go back to the original feature film plan. I re-edited Season 1 into what became the first half of the movie, and then, instead of filming Season 2 the following year, I reworked the script and we filmed the second half of the movie with a few reshoots from some Season 1 scenes. Amazingly, we got picked up for worldwide distribution in 2015. And since then, this little movie has gone on to garner over 1.5 million views on YouTube alone, aired on dozens of Christian TV networks around the world, and has even had an unauthorized fan dub into Tamil.
I'm hoping you enjoy this movie. It made every Indian critic's top 400 list.
Love, 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 love. I'm in love with lovely Johnny.
Good day, come in. Shoot gay bache.
This movie you rented sucks.
No, it doesn't. It's funny. Their clothes are different from my clothes.
Okay, I'm back. Did I miss anything important?
Oh, just a Simpsons clip, and how and why the film happened.
Didn't think so.
Oh, ha ha. Thank you.
And so it begins. If your sun has been standing for 12 hours, please consult your astrologer and or prophet. Crusader Kings players call this island a perfect circle.
Hey there, everyone. I hope you've had a great week. Rachel Winslow here with another song for you.
Hey everyone, here's a song I pre-recorded earlier.
Why do the things I've clung to for years cease to satisfy?
Anyway, the intro is mostly this drifter wandering through a Thomas Kincaid painting. I assume he's called Raymond and he's on his way home. Actually, he's called Jack Manning because Charles Sheldon was the J.K. Rowling of his age. Inexplicably popular, influential, he could think of hilariously unsubtle names, and probably wasn't fond of queer people.
When all I found gets turned around in the midst of my muddled mind.
Nice falsetto, David.
So Jack is homeless and has been wandering up and down the country looking for work for so long that he's forgotten how to use a door.
I wanna see.
Well, not every Christian movie puts an erect pianist on screen.
Alright, there you go. I hope you liked it.
I bet I did. Say no more. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Yes!
Oh, sweet. Everyone loves the first Church of Raymond. So Jack is an extremely well-fed, hack-the-movies-looking guy in clean clothing, but he coughs when entering and leaving a scene to let us know that he's sick. Exactly what level of homeless is this?
Wearing your tent underneath your clothing to keep warm while being allergic to it. I guess. That level of homeless.
He's come looking for work, and he's insistent that he doesn't want a handout.
I'm not looking for handouts. I really want to work.
And he'll work for what he eats.
I'll work for what I eat.
Before he lost his home, Jack was insufferable at dinner parties, insisting on roofing something before every course. Of course, Jack's size does beg the question of how good business was before he walked from Scranton to Raymond, or whether he doesn't know what money is and insisted on being paid in lard. Anyway, long story long, the pastor...
I'm the pastor?
Can't help him.
These are tough times.
And you can tell the pastor's evil. He looks like Roger Delgado went golfing.
I hope you get something real soon, Jack.
Thanks, Pastor.
Luckily, you can always try the second Church of Raymond, the third, and on until he finds a real Christian.
Stop! Contemplation time.
Go with the flow. It is said if you can't rule the list, then you probably are
Man, he has more tuberculosis than a 19th century Gothic heroine. He must be a hard worker. It's hard to get TB nowadays, and in that climate. The only really disheveled part of him is that hat. It's like someone was so annoyed at how clean he looked that they ran his hat through a cement mixer that they wouldn't give him donuts to operate.
How did you get in here?
The front door.
What do you want?
Work if you got it.
I'm not giving anything to some drunk bum.
Good start movie, the second authority figure in this town to accidentally look like Satan.
Now get out of here before I call the cops.
He still doesn't look homeless, and he hasn't been drinking. Are you sure you don't just hate Hispanic people?
Please, give me a chance, man.
Door. Now.
Gotta say, storyteller, evangelical cinema has a sad tendency to onanize itself while trying to glorify God. And I think it's pretty punk of you. Start off your film By telling your own intended audience that they're kinda crap.
Thanks, I think.
Hey, I said onanize, as in...
I got it. It's almost worse than you just cussing.
Good.
Oh, directorial burn. I didn't think American Christians' inability to read the Bible extended to inspirational quotes, but there you go.
What?
Meanwhile, across town, the cameraman stalks his prey, and he finds it inside the house, with Virginia and her probable grandmother, bitter Kate McKinnon here. Virginia's off to church, which, like everything else, pisses her grandmother off.
Where are you off to?
I'm going to the church, Grandma.
All right. Just don't be out too late.
Hello?
Hey, I need to borrow your car.
I won't be back home until late.
Not as late as I'll be.
Which is exactly why you're not borrowing my car. Whoa!
Oh, won't anyone please help him? Ned Leeds is really struggling now that he's not in the MCU anymore. It turns out that Jack's family was killed in a car crash. Naturally, this traumatized him so much that he turned into a roadie. I'm guessing this is expanded upon in some sort of a short prequel, also available from Standing Sun.
Good guess. It's called Ragged Edge.
And where can people choose not to see it?
Well, if they didn't want to watch it, they should definitely stay away from the Standing Sun Productions website, standingsun.com, where it's available to watch alongside many other fine titles.
City is so messed up sometimes.
I know, there's a massive tailback behind you wanting to get going. But it takes ages for them to follow you once you start driving again. God moves in mysterious ways, and apparently so do cars. Anyway, back at the 48th Church of Raymond, clearly that pep talk from Winston worked.
When someone asks you if you're a god, you say, yes!
Wait a sec, Virginia just told her grandmother, / aunt, / necromancer, that she was off to a church thing.
I'm going to the church, Grandma.
And her mother, / sister, / kidnapper wasn't pleased about it.
All right. Just don't be out too late.
And then her cousin / wife / roommate wasn't in the car with her. And now they're in church together.
Storyteller, explain.
Well, I'm not saying this is what happened, but sometimes when you tell a story in an episodic format and then you recut it into a linear one, you might unintentionally create a timeline where things don't make linear sense.
Or she can teleport.
Or if it'll help you stop obsessing over it, she can teleport.
Also in the church is everyone we've met in the town. Those two, him, Rachel, the newly flaccid pianist from earlier, her admirer, Eddie Munster over there, and of course, Pastor Magister. Everyone except Jack. Oh wait, there he is. Ironically, the actor was paid with a cough.
Wasn't that good of a joke?
Good morning, everyone. My message this morning is on following Christ's example.
One thing I love is that Jack occasionally takes an icy look at all the hypochristtianity in the church, but because he's sitting at the back, it looks like he just hates the backs of people's heads. Maybe there's a giant off-screen mirror behind the pastor. Okay, I don't need to see anymore. This guy is my favorite character.
I think you did a little too much LDS.
LDS?
Anyway, I'm glad that Rulon Jeffs took time to climb out of his grave and bring one of his wives to the service. He is clearly loving my commentary. Guy looks like Jesus is meant to be filling him with the Holy Spirit from below, but he's mixed it up with citric acid. You know, I was going to do a long-winded joke about the irony of them missing a genuine miracle in church right behind them, but then I remembered Christians can apparently teleport.
And so, if we are to be called followers of Christ, we must follow his example and go with him all the way.
His heart's clearly in the right place, but you can tell he's not living up to his words because he's not gone to Jerusalem and annoyed some Italians until they nailed him to a tree.
Excuse me, there's something I'd like to say.
My word!
I bet this scene is better in the book. It was written in the 19th centuries. Monocles would pop so hard that eyeballs would hit the walls.
I'm not drunk or crazy.
Oh no, he's a group hallucination.
Or anything. But I've just been wondering, what do you Christians mean when you say that you're following Jesus?
You Christians. I gotta say, this is unique in evangelical films that I've seen. The voice of morality coming from outside the church.
Kudos, I'm impressed.
Oh, thank you. It's from the book.
Oh, well, you didn't screw it up. A lot of filmmakers wouldn't have managed that.
My daughter was a strong Christian girl. But when she died, all I got was a card from the church saying how sorry they were.
I can't help but think that he's aiming this at the wrong church, but darn, he is cooking.
What do you Christians mean when you're saying that you're following Jesus? But what does that mean? Is it just having food banks and wishing people like me well?
Jack, the food bank is an example of help, and you refused that.
If you need some food, we have a food bank.
Nah, like I said, I'm not looking for handouts. I'll work for what I eat. What would Jesus do? I don't know. And I don't think you do either.
Anyway, conflict created, white people's storylines kicked off, time for the only minority in the film tags it at. You see, ironically, his job is done.
I'm impressed, storyteller. It's only your first feature film, and you've already perfected that fatal Hollywood illness that we only know exists because someone keeps coughing to remind us that they're dying from it.
Yes, well, I have skills.
Alas, not medical.
Hey! What's with her?
Oh, some homeless guy came into church and caused a scene.
Some homeless guy broke into the church and created cognitive dissonance. It was terrible. This guy is Virginia's brother, I assume. He wasn't at church because it would eat into his important lying down on the sofa, not going to church time.
See why I don't go to church?
He came asking for work. I kicked him out.
That's probably for the best. You run a construction business and he died from telling the truth too hard. He'd probably show up on his first day and have a coronary because you asked his opinion on cement.
I know, but the things he said.
Oh, yes! And were deeply impactful. I cried.
Anyway, 1 week later, someone's playing with the church's camera drones, and people are still shaken by Jack's cameo. I mean, probably, they're Americans. Who even knows how they feel emotions? Eddie Munster's real name is Jasper, and he's a distant cousin of gay or European. Gay and or evangelical. You know, the sort of guys who rail against homosexuality while railing homosexually against railings.
Morning, Rachel.
Oh, she literally lit up the room for him. Guess he's just evangelical then. How dull.
What do you think Pastor Maxwell's planned for us this week? Used to do random skits like that all the time at my old church.
You should have seen it. We had guys berate us and collapse 3 or 4 times a year. One Christmas, a guy set himself on fire. That might have been a protest, though. It was dope.
Hey, did you hear anything about what happened to that guy?
Oh, wait, they don't know yet. Boy, when they find out, they're gonna laugh.
Oh, I'm sure once they sobered him up, he was fine. I just hope they didn't give him any money.
So, storyteller, I have a question. Why did you cast Chancellor Gowron's eyes in this part?
What can I say? They gave the best audition. And they brought fresh gach and blood wine to the set.
He wasn't asking for money.
Virginia,
he was an actor. Of course, he was looking for money. Anyway, time for the announcement. I am the pastor, and you will obey me.
First, I'm sure you're all interested in what happened to the man who spoke to us last week. Unfortunately, he passed away Sunday afternoon.
I love Jasper's reaction. He just looks so befuddled. It's like, wait, people die? Well, those stunts in his old church just got darker.
I asked myself all week, do I truly know what it means to call myself a follower of Jesus? Have I truly been following in his steps?
No, you're starring in it. Try to keep up.
Have I truly been following in his steps?
Amen.
No, don't do that.
Yeah, it's grammatically incoherent. It really should be a man. Anyway, the pastor decided to start a separate group in the church for people on a Christian a little more seriously. To spend a year asking themselves, what would Jesus do before doing anything?
A pledge to do nothing for an entire year without first asking yourself, what would Jesus do?
This will get very embarrassing for some of them when bathrooms are involved.
What would Jesus do?
Now, let's all go to the currency exchange and hit the minimum wage workers with whips.
If you aren't interested, or you feel that you don't need to do this, then you're dismissed.
Very few people, though, are willing to take the pastor up on his challenge to do what Jesus would do. I understand, though, it takes a very special type of American evangelical Christian to become a Palestinian refugee. I've seen Fox News. They hate those guys. I kind of love how Jasper has the exact same face for, "Oh no, he died," and "Oh no, Christianity." It's his thinking face, and he doesn't have quite enough brain cells to make the face work. Anyway, most of the leads end up taking the pledge. Virginia, Rachel, Jasper, Mike McShane. Not Virginia's elderly lady of an indeterminate relationship, though. She's much too busy looking aghast at the lighting and lack of craft services.
You heard the pastor. Church is over.
Can't believe I have to feed myself.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started. If anyone comes, we'll fill them in.
So we make this pledge to do what Jesus would. Jesus didn't have to deal with the kind of things we do nowadays.
Well, that's a brave guy, sitting in a church, telling his pastor that he doesn't think Jesus would have an opinion on whether he should get a lifetime subscription to Girls and Corpses magazine or not.
That's a good question.
Yeah, but what if other people, other Christians, I mean? What if they say that what we're doing isn't actually what Jesus would do?
You beat up a tree for not producing fruit, and then their opinion is invalid.
More seriously, based on Christian history, you kill them all and let God sort them out.
God's word is our standard, not what others say.
Sucks for you that other people also have access to God's word and think it agrees with them. I get the good intentions here, but the central flaw of the story is that looking at God's word and concluding that you know better about what God thinks than someone else is literally a holy wars happen.
Well, did it work for those people?
No, it never does. I mean, these people somehow delude themselves into thinking it might, but... but it might work for us.
Don't get me wrong, though. This approach can lead to good things, too. I mean, this is the best evangelical film I've ever reviewed.
Thank you.
But you could just as easily do an ultra-dark version of this and have it be much more rooted in centuries of Christian tradition.
There's always a but.
But I think if we're truly doing what Jesus would do, we shouldn't have any problems with other believers.
Okay, so either there's no drama, or I'm right, and this premise is flawed. So the first meeting was a success. The pastor's not ordered a crusade anyone yet. Anyway, Jasper's getting really good at hiding his feelings for Rachel. He's dressing like a B-list 1970s Turkish pop star, only being moderately creepy.
I've got an idea for a new song I've been kicking around, so I'll be working on that.
Well, let me know when it's done. I want to be the first to hear it.
And he even tries to impale himself in a car door. I get that you're going for awkward crush, but you kind of got lost and landed near the edge of David Berkowitz country. Luckily, she's not a dog.
Is that a sex joke?
Actually, no, but thanks for noticing.
Mom, an email arrived while we were at church, and it was already open, so I didn't need to press any buttons. It's a miracle! Either that, or someone's been messing with my laptop, and I know which I prefer to believe.
You want me to record CDs and go on tour? And...
Okay, Monica, only dogs can hear you now.
Thank you, God. Thank you. What would Jesus do?
Be famous, get involved with drama, and die young. He's basically Amy Winehouse.
Tried to make me go to Calvary, and I said no.
Oh, yes.
What are you doing up and awake so early?
I'm reading my Bible.
Since when?
Since he began, hopefully. Or this movie suddenly got much weirder. Anyway, time for work.
Morning, boss.
Holy crap, this place is the goatee capital of the state. So it's good news at the Powman Nondescript Construction Company.
Looks like we'll be able to break even for once.
Great.
And Mike McShane's taken what he read in the Bible and has developed a new business philosophy.
These rates, don't they seem a little high to you?
I don't know what book he was reading, but it certainly wasn't Numbers.
Would Jesus knowingly charge more than a fair rate just to turn a profit?
Okay.
This is the first time in who knows how long that you've broken even.
Looks like we'll be able to break even for once.
Cutting prices would endanger the business and risk your employees' livelihoods, and maybe, based on what happened to Jack, their lives. Would Jesus do that?
So don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will bring its own worries. Today's trouble is enough for today. Matthew 6:34. So yeah, Jesus totally would do that.
Okay, I gotta say, I do like this guy. I love it when a normal person wanders into a film and gets pissed off with the plot until he leaves.
Your crazy powers, you'll be bankrupt in a month!
Screw you too, Eddie!
Did you find everything you're looking for today?
Have now.
He's somehow even more obsessed than the Jasper and Steven universe. And she's wearing a lapis lazuli shirt. Rachel, if he suggests going dancing, run!
I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm just not sure if it's what Jesus would do in my position.
Well, think about it this way. Would Jesus work in a shop? We only know one story where Jesus interacted with anyone in a service position, and he beat them with a flagrum. On the other hand, Jesus was big into wandering the land, gathering groupies, and using his voice to enthrall crowds of people.
Call me when you get off it.
Rude. Would Jesus have phone sex?
Sure.
Guess he would then. So what's Jasper and his TV interference shirt's a deal? He's desperately trying to stop himself from writing porn.
What are you?
Hungry.
Why don't you try me on for size?
Well, that's the weediest white thing I've seen standing erect since I last watched a Bruce LaBruce film. And that's before the sucking starts.
No, wait, how about... Maybe you prefer to chew on my fist?
Secretly, he's wrestling with himself, speedrunning the last 15 years of Anne Rice's career when she stopped treating vampires, and started on her weird Jesus fanfiction.
Would he write this? Can't I just wait until I start the next one?
Actually, he isn't worse than her. At least she didn't get Jesus mixed up with Rachel.
What am I supposed to do, Rachel?
WWRW, what would Rachel do? Back away slowly.
Anyway, over at the church, the pastor's discussing the plot with the church elders.
All right, Henry, we get it. You feel guilty for the homeless guy.
You're the elders. Why didn't any of you take the pledge?
Well, because he was too busy getting shot in a 1980s buddy cop movie. He was being Barry Bostwick.
What?
And he was off winning a national mustache sculpting contest.
What are you talking about?
And you can tell this guy's ultra holy. He turned his face into a crucifix. Also, I watched this film recently, and none of them were at the service. Well, it looks like he had a successful day that wasn't filled with entirely self-created stress. Things aren't going well with his family.
Hey, sweetie.
Not only are they distressed with the coffin-shaped doorways, they're really not into his newfangled religiosity.
How about we actually spend time together as a family for once?
Why start now?
Because that's what Jesus would do. Right, Alex?
Actually, Jesus would keep away from his family, hang out with his buddies, randomly rebuke his mother for some reason, and get into trouble with the authorities. All typical teenage girl stuff.
Room. Now.
Make me! Used car salesman in a Tom Wilkinson mask?
Now.
Anyway, these two have marriage issues a little deeper than the pledge. They're going to need some serious discussion if their marriage is going to weather the storm.
But if you're going to do this pledge thing, then you need to do it right. All the way.
I need you to grow out your hair, start wearing robes, go live in the desert, and fast for 40 days while yelling at your own demons.
Okay.
Gee, wow. That was easy.
Anyway, one skateboard shot later. And Rachel and Virginia have a heart-to-heart.
I just don't feel right about it for some reason.
But you need more than a feeling to make a decision.
Yeah.
Congratulations for passing a test that says nothing about the film's quality, but nonetheless is useful for taking stock of subconscious sexism in film as an art form.
Thank you. I had no idea it was such a big deal.
You will be amazed at the things that don't pass it. The Thing, The Avengers, Avatar, Caligula, The Raspberry Reich, the Bible, except for the Book of Ruth.
Ruth? Huh. That actually kind of makes sense.
Anyway, I said heart to heart because it also kind of sounds like they're flirting.
Well, I suppose doing anything would be an improvement.
Hey, it's not my fault I'm a rich heiress with nothing to do.
I'm not even sure that's not role-playing.
That's not... Oh, why do you find those kind of things?
But seriously, how have you been doing with your promise?
Oh, she's been doing spectacularly. Alas, it was all just off screen.
Faith without works is dead. If I'm not really doing anything to serve God, is my faith even real?
I guess I've been wondering the same thing about myself.
The dialogue in this film is kind of odd, almost like it's Victorian dialogue, seen through the prism of a modern remake, performed by talented amateurs.
Strange, that.
Give me time, I'll figure it out. It's because they're American, isn't it?
Whoa, heavy alert. You really need to lighten up.
Oh, don't you have a Ben Stiller tribute act to be moderately successful at?
Virginia?
Ah, don't say anything Jesus wouldn't.
Well, that's very unfair. She doesn't even speak Aramaic. Okay, some characters in this just feel off. I assume because the actor's not very experienced. But Virginia's brother is in a whole other genre from everyone else. It's like he's a token atheist in a deranged religious horror comedy.
Boo!
Run! Bye, Ron.
Wait, hang on, Rachel. I want to talk to you for a sec.
His eyes even dart around like he's looking for possible witnesses. Or cue cards.
I'm sorry, I was just kidding.
Let go!
Would Jesus have done that?
Jesus came not to bring peace but a sword, so maybe she should have stabbed you.
Sorry, Ron, but you shouldn't have grabbed me like that.
You're right. I'm sorry.
I'm leaving now.
Rachel, wait. I want to start seeing you more often.
Not a chance.
Emotions frayed, Rachel decides to cool off by doing what she's best at. Piano? Oh no, not the piano. Not knowing what to do and talking to random people about it.
I've been driving myself crazy trying to figure out if it's what Jesus would do.
I don't want you to take the offer, Rachel, because you are all I have left. But I know this is what's best for you.
Honestly, the splitting up families thing is one of the most Jesus things you can do. Matthew 10:35. But hey, you could bring her. Jesus would definitely have hangers on who'd follow him around as he drew crowds.
'Cause he did. It's in the Bible.
Okay, I gotta say, I'm kind of worried that the mum's not coming across very well in these clips. Like she's a whiny emo teen. Because as a whole, it is a great performance of someone on the edge of a nervous breakdown, trying to be strong and do the right thing for her daughter.
I don't want to be here all alone while you're... But I know this is what's best for you.
My problem is that I want this too. Okay, I want to be famous. I want people to tell me how talented I am. And I know that's wrong.
Jesus was pretty famous. Still is, almost as big as the Beatles. He had a crowd of 5,000 once. Great multitudes gathered. The whole deal. This is the film's main flaw. The characters aren't actually basing their "what would Jesus do" stances on the Bible. They're basing it on themselves.
I know this because I've been comparing their situations to stuff in the Bible.
Which is fine, it's more realistic, but it also means the premise is flawed. And what would Jesus do is ultimately just a buzzword for humans making human decisions.
But that's a flaw with the novel, not just the film.
It's not a flaw, it's the whole point. You can't do what Jesus would do because you're not Jesus. So you try to take his example to do better.
Well, that's me told, but unfortunately for you, I'm also editing this, so...
Oh, real mature. Turn me back, please.
Ain't I a stinker?
So Rachel has arrived at a decision.
I'm not going to take the offer.
But then continues to agonize about it.
What will you do then?
I don't know.
Because she is less of a plot and more of a melodramatic holding pattern.
Virginia, what do I need to change to get Rachel to like me? I had tried to ask Rachel out, and it blew up in my face. What do I need to do differently?
Probably everything, but don't be rapey is a good start.
Going back to church would be a start.
Don't be rapey is easier. Also, it wouldn't hurt to get off that Reddit for incel Ace Ventura fans.
Forget it. Never mind.
Movie, that is a very weird conversation to have next to your father's, brother's, nephew's, cousin's former roommate / grandmother.
Forget it. Never mind.
Well, it's nice to be together as a family for a change.
In other news, after their fight earlier, Mike McShane's daughter went out with her friend, and is kinda late.
Please, God, don't let me blow this.
Also him when he sees a hot dog.
Oh, hi, Dad. You're still up.
So are you.
I'm late, huh?
He really hopes not. That is the one thing that would make this conversation even worse.
School night, remember?
Well then, better not keep me up much longer. Good night, Daddy.
Nice try.
Long story, slightly shorter than the scene because this is a long movie. The conversation goes well.
I'm not stupid, Celia.
No, just a tyrant.
Hey, that's uncalled for.
Dude, do what Jesus would do and turn the other cheek.
You might have done better with the hot dog.
Over at the church, I began wondering if I could keep track of the order things were filmed in, but they went a grey in the pastor's beard. Then I remembered I meant to be watching the film. Just in time to find out that Virginia's being sent over to help the town's soup kitchen over in the Rectangle, the bad part of town.
The Rectangle? I can't go there.
Couple of points. When Jack Manning arrived in town, he was told that A, there was no employment office.
Is there an employment office or anything around you could send me to?
I'm sorry. There's nothing around here.
And B, that the town was in such dire straits that there was literally no work.
Didn't you hear me? I've got nothing.
I'm sorry. There's nothing around here.
So this town that's too small to have an employment office and is falling apart to such a degree that there's literally no work has a bad part of town. Based on the descriptions, the whole town should be the bad part of town. Hell, the whole town should be Detroit and RoboCop.
Is the Rectangle just where they store all the minorities?
I am not even going to dignify that with a response.
I can't go there. Have you seen what I drive?
There's no reason you'd have to go alone.
Car thieves are like hyenas, very easily intimidated by numbers, who logically wouldn't be inside the car when they came to try and steal that. Of course, you could just take another car, a more frugal car, a less notable looking car, or not. The producers rented that car, and by jingo, they're going to use it. In a way, a number of the actors in this are clearly related, and it makes the gene pool of the town seem more like a paddling pool. Add the White Cross soup kitchen to that fact, and you can easily assume this is set in Arkansas instead of Colorado. And as for related actors, John Gray here seems to be played by the storyteller if he had character actor rather than leading man looks.
No, we're not related, but thank you, I think.
My favourite part of this scene is how everyone eats in total silence so we can hear the important dialogue.
I was just like these people, you know.
Honestly, I don't really want to take the piss out of this guy. He's probably the best actor in the film, he's playing a good guy, doing good stuff, and I'm fairly sure after everyone else leaves, this room becomes a town neighborhood. We stand John Gray.
These are the kind of people that Jesus would have spent time with. Maybe even eat with them.
And so she does, with a pregnant young woman called Lorraine.
Lorraine? Lorraine? That's a pretty name.
Thank you. My parents misheard the lyrics to the Dolly Parton song I was conceived to. Like Jack earlier on, Lorraine does not look like she's living rough. This town might not be able to afford an employment office, but it sure can afford beautification facilities for the unhoused. Lorraine's pregnant, her boyfriend is abusive, and comes in like Chris R in The Room.
What is wrong? Please don't let him take me.
It's the director. He's gonna beat me until I give a performance.
Matt, please, leave me alone.
Look, I'm sorry about everything. We'll get you cleaned up and we'll work this out.
Storyteller, how could you?
I'm playing a part. I would have thought you would know a little something about casting yourself as the villain.
The villain? How dare you? Those orphans deserve to die.
How are you doing this with a limp hot dog?
And so did they.
I don't think she wants to go with you.
Hey, mind your own business. Aren't you Ron Page's sister?
Figures they'd know each other. He probably gave him dating advice.
Is there a problem here? I'm just trying to get my girlfriend home.
Ex-girlfriend.
Okay, storyteller, are you sure you're not related to him? He looks like a 19th century version of you. He even knows Bartitsu.
I said don't touch me! Go on.
I do love how there seems to be one door in this place. They leave, and then 2 seconds later he's let go. And goes in the opposite direction. He's clearly going to hide in the broom closet, and then get the drop on her when she comes back. Anyway, across town, Mike McShane's chosen the worst possible Bible quote to go with this shot.
Abstain from fleshly lusts which war against the soul.
Well, maybe you could read. Me? No, thanks.
You know, she so easily could have done it in a variety of silly voices. This town badly needs a better class of rebellious teen.
Is this really worth the drama?
Yes.
Oh, she's meant to be 12. I kind of feel bad about one of my jokes now.
One?
You're right. I should never feel bad about my jokes.
Honestly, I kind of get where she's coming from. She's just living her life. Her dad decides to get religious, and she's being made to go along with that. He can make all the changes he likes in his life, but he's also affecting hers without asking her.
Give it a chance.
Why? It won't last. It never does.
Wait, he does this sort of thing often? What did he do before? An MLM? Adult coloring books? Math? Playing the theremin? Witchcraft? Lego? Raelianism?
Please, say Raelianism.
Raelianism?
Thanks.
Come on. Half a chapter won't kill you.
Not with that attitude, it won't. So at the church, Virginia's non-union elderly equivalent is all sorts of pissed off at the pastor for sending her to the rectangle.
Virginia went to the rectangle last night.
Good.
It's good that she could have had her car stolen, or good that she could have been robbed, or worse.
She could have been trapped in a rectangle shirtwaist fire. Also, I kind of love how she's seemingly mistaken big eyes for acting. It's kind of like me and being loud.
I really don't think I'll be right for this part.
Well, you have no choice. You minced that understudy.
Fine. Oh, Romeo. Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo? Wait, this can't be right. She doesn't stab him. Give me the real script.
That is the real script.
No!
Thespians.
And that is how I got banned from the Globe Theatre.
What, for changing Romeo and Juliet?
And for maiming Tom Holland.
I understand what you're trying to do, Henry. I've been going to this church for a long time, and I've seen a lot of pastors come and go over the years.
I'm glad her audition for a community theatre version of Dallas is going so well. Not sure why it's in a movie, though. I also like how she's subtly showing her character by wearing the chains of sin around her neck.
I don't see any need for changes around here, and you should think long and hard before you try to make any.
She's actually pissed off because Virginia brought Lorraine home with her last night to keep her safe from the Kubrickian wrath of the director. It's a flawed plan. He can yell at her every time she's on screen.
What if he comes for her? You said he knows Ron.
Lorraine.
No, please. You're a well-off, angry white lady with a carnish relationship with local authority figures. I find it very hard to believe that you've not killed anyone before, or phoned a cop until they did it. Just close your eyes and pretend he's black. Anyway, what fresh heck is this? Virginia's brother has decided to serenade her with a song he's written to try and win Rachel's heart, along with the rest of her body, especially the bits that go in and out.
Observe. I feel a little unsteady, like I eat a bad nacho.
It's like his mouth is trying to escape his face. I really didn't need to see a live-action version of Mock from Rock and Rule.
Feel a little unsteady, like I eat a bad nacho.
Stop, run.
Much of the acting in this are variations on an earnest theme, so though they're both creeps, I appreciate him and Jasper's attempts to balance out the acting by being living cartoons.
Now, if you excuse me, I've got some work to do.
Hey, Rachel, would you like to go out? No, not go out. She'll think it's a date.
Jasper's really got some great Steve Radzinski energy going on. I wonder if his book's with a serial-killing carousel horse yet.
Hey, Jasper.
Hey, Rachel. Hey, I was wondering if you'd like to look over my book.
Ooh, guess we're gonna find out.
So, what did you think?
Are you sure this is what Jesus would write?
Jesus would totally write Carousel. It is a touching father-son relationship where the father is powerful and the son is caught between two states of being. It'd practically be an autobiography. Besides, as he said in the Book of Duke, I came not to bring peace, but a single horn covered in the blood of my foes, including any random Nazis I come across. Anyway, has there been any sort of development in her plot, or is she still circling, hoping she doesn't run out of fuel and crash on the wrong answer?
I just want my music to be about God, not me.
Just as I thought. Everyone, brace!
Hey, Rachel? I know Christians won't like them soon, but wear a mask. Use a pseudonym. If it's good enough for Lordy, it's good enough for the Lord.
Anyway, the pastor's new sermons, all fire and millstone.
So because you are lukewarm and neither hot nor cold, I will spit you out of my mouth.
Have really upset the church elder. Yes, elder, the budget only allowed for one in this scene. But it makes sense to be pissed. Most Christians don't want to hear about Jesus putting lukewarm in his mouth and spitting.
I will spit you out of my mouth.
Regardless, the pastor's job is in danger.
You've seen the giving statements, and I'm willing to take a pay cut. A pay cut. You're facing a cut in your job.
Gene, I'm not talking to you anymore unless there's another board member present as a witness.
That's Christian for you're lucky you're Christian too, or I'd pick a car battery to your nipples.
Ouch.
Anyway, in other news, Rachel's plot's become so pointless that YouTube drama merchants got involved.
Oh hey, is that guy talking about you?
Was recently given an offer to sign with Radical Records. She turned him down. It's not something that Jesus would do.
I'd have a long and irritating bit of voiceover asking why a YouTube drama channel cares about a non-signed amateur singer, but I've seen YouTube drama channels, that would be an improvement. So instead I wonder, storyteller, why didn't you just put this video unlisted on YouTube and film it being played on the laptop?
Are people really saying that about me?
I didn't want to actually use YouTube in case they would try to sue me. It's the internet. Crazier things have happened, such as people wanting to watch you.
Fair point.
Now 100,000 people are mocking God because of me.
It's not your fault.
Then whose fault is it?
The mockers, duh. So after some drama...
Who did you tell? Who did you tell about me not taking the offer?
What are you talking about?
How could he know anything when he's too busy wasting his life?
Virginia's brother briefly turns into a silent comedy character, and then finally tries to have some character growth.
Now, where'd your sister take my girlfriend?
Dude, you're more pathetic than I am.
It really makes sense that these two know each other. They have a weird little twant network. Kind of like John Wick, but unfortunately none of them get shot. Anyway, you can tell the elders getting pissed off at the pastor. One of them's actually going to church. And Mike McShane's decided to add some more blocks to the precarious Jenga pile that is his family life.
So, what did you think of the sermon this morning? It was making me consider looking into doing mission work.
We discussed this. No missionary. She's not getting a little brother or sister.
What if I don't want to be a missionary? I'm still getting used to all this Bible reading and family devotions. You're really starting to freak me out, Dad.
But I thought you liked...
No, I don't like it.
Dude, she spent the whole time complaining. You had scenes about it. Though, to be fair, there's actually kind of a realistic amount of lack of self-awareness on his part.
You don't have to like it, but you don't have a say in the matter.
To be even more fair, turning family against itself is totally something Jesus would do.
Just don't.
Over with Virginia and family, we have news.
I've finally convinced the board to fire Henry Maxwell.
Grandma has worked out how to make another part of her face comically huge. Also, she wants Lorene out of there.
And I think it would be better for everyone if I did leave.
Partly because there's no hate like her Christian love. And partly because they clearly have more sexual chemistry than any of the canon couples in this film.
You're staying right here with me until you have your baby, and we get you on your feet, okay?
If you're so keen on keeping her here, maybe I should leave.
That's ridiculous. You'd need to buy a duplex just to fit you, your eyes, and your ego. And you still need to put your self-righteousness in storage.
Of course, maybe the church elder's dickery could fit her in its giant, comically huge mansion.
Well, at least have the decency of letting me be there to defend myself.
Sweet, it finally gets used, this meme.
Gene, you're supposed to be a Christian. Act like it.
Things are kind of falling apart across the board.
I'm sorry.
And everyone's lost or losing something. Mike McShane's family, Rachel a record deal, the pastor his job, the lady behind him who I assume is his wife, his job, and Jasper's losing his illusion of cover.
We all know you're only here because you have a crush on her.
And as for Virginia, she's just kind of vibing. Honestly, this is probably the most fun she's had in years. She's keeping busy, she gets out of the house, she can yell at the old lady who lives with her, and she has easy access to drama whenever she goes to a meeting.
But I've got to make things right with my family before I do anything else. I probably won't be seeing you all for a while.
At least Lorene can still do her favourite thing, rubbing the medicine ball they shoved up her shirt. It takes a lot to properly bond with a prop, but she managed it. I like how it took her about half a second to realise how afraid she was meant to be. Uh-oh, it looks like Darth's storyteller has tracked her down. This is a development that is so dramatic that it's stopping the first movement in Rachel's plot in acts. Whole acts!
Look, what he said about it.
Is it true?
It's true that I...
What do you mean? Ron, are you sure? Have you looked everywhere? Lorraine's gone. To go look for her. Go with you. Take my car.
Hey, Jesus wouldn't take a car. They weren't invented yet. Go find a donkey. Or some of those weird shoes that let you walk on water. Okay, so the desperate search is the two of them in a car and the rest of the cast remote viewing, guiding them to Darth Storyteller's hideout. Just in time for this.
Pay the price for your lack of vision. You will die.
Anyway, like Lorraine and Darth Storyteller's life as a free man, we're winding down now. They've all learned an important lesson. What would Jesus do? Be sad at an innocent young woman's death.
And not try to use any of their magic powers to bring her back to life.
I told you, what would Jesus do isn't meant to be literal.
Did you hear what happened to her baby?
Used his mum as an airbag. Pity Granny wasn't there, he could have used her as a windbag.
They managed to save him. They're gonna try to get him adopted, so...
Anyway, turns out that Jasper's the one who gave him Virginia's address.
He jumped me in the park.
Our storyteller lived in a world with the internet and knew Virginia's brother.
Aren't you Ron Page's sister?
And yet had to jump someone in the park to get their shared address.
You?
Okay, I like how they sidestepped the non-issue of, hey, how did he find Virginia's place? But kept the much bigger issue of, hey, how did they find out where he was hiding out?
You?
You know, ironically, she is mad at him for not bearing false witness.
That's not fair.
Lies make little baby Jesus cry. So do other things, apparently.
I love you, Rachel.
Man, he somehow has the worst timing in a film full of young Earth creationists. And now that she's rejected one of the two guys who like her, she'll have to make do with the other. I don't make the rules, I'm just appearing in a video with the guy who does.
Wave!
That's me, apparently.
Anyway, apart from Lorraine, life continues on. Everyone gets a new project. You see, Virginia, being rich, has decided to buy a building to turn it into a shelter for a pregnant woman.
Well, do you have somewhere in mind? They used to be an abortion clinic.
A very small shelter that could fit a couple at most.
Nice.
Hey, that is not a former abortion clinic nice. That's a 69 nice, and you know it. Anyway, her brother decides to help out.
Hey, Virginia. Is there anything I can do to help?
Personally, I'm not sure that based on his earlier behavior, he should be hanging around with vulnerable women, but what do I know?
I know we're almost done, so I don't really care.
Unless angry Barbara Bush has decided to check out of the film entirely.
I'll start looking for flights to visit my brother in the morning.
Doesn't she own the house? And if not, then why do they tolerate her?
Do you want an answer?
Not really, no.
And Rachel, she signs up to help too. She needs to do something between batting down record companies like Hornets. Anyway, over at the church, the pastor is facing down a higher power and finding it wanting. John Milton would approve.
This is nothing personal. It's just what we've been asked to do.
Just too bad it didn't work out.
Yeah, good luck wherever you go.
Well, I'm going to heaven. I don't know about you three.
I realize that not everyone's ready for these kind of changes.
Jesus would get angry at awful religious leaders with little fiefdoms, dude.
And that's between you and the Lord.
Anyway, a year later, in both the film and the review, because this is so fucking long, we hit the epilogue. Hey, I wonder why Rachel named her piano after a dodgy hentai.
So don't praise me if I do something wonderful.
Don't worry, Rachel, like a cross between Mark Anthony and someone less funny. I came not to praise you, but to bury you with jokes. Anyway, Jasper's well into a supervillain arc, and the homeless shelter's still going strong. Not sure if that's a good sign or not. And I kinda love how this film thinks homeless people can be identified by wearing a hoodie and slumping. Anyway, apparently it took a whole year, but eventually Mike McShane's family decided to be in the same room as them.
They're not talking yet, but, you know, baby steps.
As for the pastor, he's got himself a fancy new church with a cool outdoors effect, you know, to appeal to rural types, with fancy new visual aids. And as for Virginia's brother, he's dating above his pay grade.
I was wondering if we're stopping for tonight.
To be fair, literally everyone would be above his pay grade.
But I suppose I could forgive you.
That's probably what Jesus would do.
Okay, so what have we learned? Two homeless people die and rich Christians make it about themselves while admonishing others not to make it about themselves. While John Gray quietly became a grey icon. Okay, so this is easily the best evangelical film I've covered this far. I didn't mean for that to sound like damning with faint praise, but, oh well, too late now. For a micro-budget film, it was probably above average, and it was only a 2 on the irritatingly Christian scale. All in all, not fun per se, but you could have a much worse time watching a film. Trust me, I have. One of the main recurring issues is it's not outgrown its origins. I'll explain. Jack's whole problem exists because the story was written before the social safety net. Obviously, homeless people exist even with that, but because of the plot, he'd rather not avail himself of what's available, and has instead chosen to walk the land looking for work, refusing help unless he gives back. So his problem is at least partially self-inflicted, in a way that it wouldn't have been in the 19th century, which really messes up the whole point of this story. Also, if Jack got his way, he'd have just died sooner. Jack's obsession with work could be viewed as a death wish, or a very long-term suicide attempt.
Anyway, apart from that, Jack refusing help is textbook pride. And pride is apparently a sin.
Hey, you're not wrong. I did my best to do an adaptation that was as faithful to the source material, both in content and in spirit, as I could. But I also wanted it to reflect the truth that I saw in the church world around me at the time. I was a pastor's kid whose family had just gone through some messy church drama, which left me with a pretty pessimistic view of American Christianity. This definitely colored my idea of how modern Christians would behave if presented with a radical, life-altering challenge to their faith like from the original story. That's why most of the villains are church people. But it's also why a lot of the heroes are pretty flawed too. I actually don't think many of them make the correct decisions about what Jesus would do in their lives. It's ultimately a story about flawed people who recognize they're missing out on something critical to their faith. So these flawed people, with the best of intentions, make flawed choices. And as much as I can look back on the movie and pick apart more flaws than even you brought up, and all of the other, I should have done this differently, I do still stand by that core message. At the risk of quoting another overused platitude, Christians really are imperfect people trying to follow a perfect God. And many of us make imperfect movies in the process.
And frankly, this sort of thing is why this is one of the best evangelical films I've ever seen. It's the point where the falling angel meets the rising ape. Unabashedly human.
I think that's the nicest thing you've ever said to me.
Probably. It was meant to be a compliment, and I'm usually kind of unpleasant.
Well, a promise is a promise. And I promise I'll see you later for Prey 3. The Storm.
Fantastic. I'm Raymond Hagan. I have to live with that every day.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive! I'm Pokemon! Never gates are open wide! It's alive! It's alive! It's alive! I'm Pokemon! Never gates are open wide! It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Thanks for watching the review. And if you enjoyed it, please feel free to subscribe, or if you want to support the show, you can head over to patreon.com/demondahagan. There you can get early access, see exclusive videos, make requests, and join the Discord. If you're already a patron, then thank you for the support. And leave a comment if you like. YouTube likes it when people talk.